The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCmedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, Fall River is looking for a new police chief. The new owner of St. Anne's Hospital officially takes over operations, and the next edition of the Fabric Arts Festival takes place next weekend. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, October 3rd, 2024. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Late last week, Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan and Police Chief Paul Garvin mutually agreed for Garvin to step down as chief and return to his previous rank as captain. Mayor Coogan says Chief Garvin will return to his command of the Major Crimes Division in January. Earlier last month, the chief received a vote of no confidence from two police unions on the heels of a lawsuit filed by Police Captain Gil Costa, who alleges Chief Garvin and the city retaliated against him for internal affairs investigation that he says led him to be passed over for promotions. Mayor Coogan says he's grateful for the work Chief Garvin accomplished leading the department.
I think these jobs are very, very stressful. There's tremendous scrutiny on the police right now throughout the country, whether it's post in Massachusetts particularly, or recruiting, or retention, or community engagement. There are so many facets now in a police chief's job that it does put a tremendous stress on anyone that has that position. And I think, you know, the chief did a good job while he was here, but he decided that you know, he may be better off doing something different. And you know, we wish him well. We wish whoever replaces him well, and we want to see what the future holds for the Fall River Police Department. I think overall, the guys, the actual people on the streets, the people in the main office, they all do a great job. They really work hard. They're engaged. I mean, I refer to our police department as the face of the city of Fall River.
Chief Garvin had this to say in a statement released by the city, quote, "It has been an honor to serve the city of Fall River in this capacity. However, after much reflection, I believe it's time for change. I'm proud of the progress we've made, but I recognize that it's important to focus more on my family at this stage of my career." Mayor Coogan says the focus now is to appoint an interim chief.
We met with some of the senior leadership at the police department, and we talked to them about what their thoughts were on the direction of the department, how they looked at their role, and for an interim position, which will be till May, I think, you know, we have four quality people we talked to, and we'll see what goes forward from there. I think the Fall River Police Department does a good job of, you know, developing future talent. At the same time, you know, people are always like, well, let's go outside, and I understand the unique pressures are from the outside. We went outside with a couple of the last superintendents of the schools, and we had fits and starts there. So I mean, there's pros and cons. No matter what we do, no matter what I do, I'll be second guessed by some, praised by others, and that's part of my job. It's just that we have to work to see if we can put the best person in that slot right now to keep the police department moving forward.
Garvin's contract as chief expires next May. Still no agreement between the city and the Fall River Educators Association on a new contract for teachers. The school committee met this week in executive session to discuss next steps in the negotiations.
The sole goal is to get the teachers a fair contract and build a strong teaching team for the city of Fall River. I know going forward that we put some good offers on the table. I know that the teachers unions have pushed back on some and given us breaks on others. And we've done the same with their proposals. And that's what happens. It's a constant give and take. It's not just what's the percent raise and how long's the contract for. It really, that's one part of it. But there are so many other pieces that are involved, whether it's parental leave, length of day, breaks, sick leave, sick days, how all these things factor into a contract. And that's just 4 or 5. There's probably 15 or 20 when you look at all the different sections.
The union and school committee are slated to meet again sometime next week. Teachers have been working without a contract since the beginning of the school year. The next stage in the future of St. Anne's Hospital in Fall River began this week, as operation of the hospital is now in the hands of Lifespan. St. Anne's fate was up in the air earlier this year when its previous owner, Stewart Healthcare, filed for bankruptcy. Lifespan officially began oversight of the hospital this Tuesday, October 1st. The Rhode Island-based medical provider paid $175 million to purchase both St. Anne's and Morton Hospital in Taunton. Fall River's Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee is recommending that $1.2 million be spent to combat substance abuse disorder in Fall River. Fall River has received nearly $2 million from the state thus far as part of a nationwide settlement against the makers and distributors of prescription opioids. The city is slated to receive nearly $8 million over 15 years. Tess Curran, Director of Health and Human Services, says the state has set criteria through which the city can expend those funds.
There's a number of buckets, essentially, that the state has allowed and permitted use for. So, a recovery, harm reduction, prevention, groups that are kind of, pregnant and postpartum women, underserved populations, and addressing homelessness and those in recovery. So there's a number of really high-level buckets that we can pull from. So when the advisory committee was reviewing all these applications, we were ensuring that applicants were meeting part of the criteria at the state level and also at the local level.
The city accepted proposals this spring seeking projects and programs that can carry out the program's goals. Earlier this summer, the mayor and city council approved funding for 3 projects totaling approximately $100,000.
The first being the enhancement without encampment proposal that the FAST team had submitted back in the spring. The most recent applications that have been approved are for the Fall River Public Schools to purchase a new curriculum. Fall River Public Schools is partnering with the charter schools in Diamond on that initiative, so that throughout the community, those who go to those schools will have a unified curriculum, which will be really important so that everybody's on the same page if they go to a different high school or whatever it may be in the community. So there's really an opportunity for Fall River youth to benefit from that new curriculum that will be implemented throughout those schools. And the other application that had been approved and recommended through the advisory committee and then the mayor's recommended council approve was for the advocacy fund, and that is an initiative that Nikki Fontaine and others have established to support those individuals, experiencing substance use disorder, those in recovery, and families that have been impacted.
4 other projects will be recommended for approval, totaling $1.1 million at a future meeting of the City Council. Each of the award is for a term of 1 year. Ms. Curran says the advisory committee is not currently accepting grant proposals and will ensure future funding will have the most effective impact on helping city residents on their path to recovery.
We're going to really make sure that the grantees that have been awarded the money are meeting their deliverables and that we're making progress. So, what it looks like and how the city will, decide to spend the money may ebb and flow throughout this process. But again, we wanted to get some of this money out in the, short term because of organizations. We know that there's a lot of need in the community, not only from organizations but also just to get more prevention out there, or support for those experiencing substance use disorder and recovery. So this is the avenue that the city is taking right now. Again, what that looks like even in a year from now, will be based on kind of how much we have and what the needs are in that time, at that time.
FRC Media is conducting interviews with those in favor and opposed to the 5 ballot questions on this year's state election ballot. Today we focus on question 4, decriminalizing and regulating the use of natural psychedelic substances. Passage of question 4 would allow persons aged 21 and older to grow, possess, and use certain natural psychedelic substances, those found in some mushrooms and plants under certain circumstances. A commission would also be formed to regulate the industry. The substances would not be available for retail sale. Mental health advocates are pushing for the passage of the measure, led by Massachusetts for Mental Health Options. Educational Outreach Director Graham Moore says the use of psychedelics has been proven worldwide to be of benefit for patients like veterans who are diagnosed with PTSD. U.S. medical organizations are coming out in support, and Oregon and Colorado have passed similar laws.
The American Medical Association recently came out in favor officially of removing criminal penalties for personal substance use. The idea is treat it as a health issue, not a criminal issue. If people are having trouble with substances, they should get treatment. We shouldn't waste resources on incarceration or prosecution. And that's even more the case with these substances, which are all non-addictive and all have demonstrated therapeutic value. And what I mean by that is 2 of them are prescription medications abroad already. Psilocybin is a prescription medication in Australia for treatment-resistant depression. And ibogaine is a prescription medication in a few countries, and in New Zealand is used off-label for opioid addiction. And then the other substances in the measure have long histories of spiritual therapeutic use, dating back thousands of years, and are legally accessible for therapeutic purposes in other countries already. So the focus of this is the regulated access for substances that have proven to help people, and the rules for that are going to be set up by the commission.
The Coalition for Safe Communities is organizing efforts asking residents to vote no on question 4. Spokesperson Chris Cohan says the group's concerns lie with who will be authorized to dispense these psychedelic substances.
We're not arguing against the medicinal benefits of this, but this isn't medicine. These are for-profit clinics that are not required to have a medical professional on site. And if you talk to the psychiatrists, particularly the Mass Psychiatric Society has testified against this at the State House for the very specific reason that if you are in severe psychosis and you take a drug like this, you are exponentially higher at risk to have a bad, what's called a trip. You need medical professionals in these facilities. They are calling them licensed, but the fact of the matter is there is no licensure for this. They're arguing that it would be a 160-hour training program. That's 1 month. 1 month of training to be able to distribute these drugs. You need a doctor on site. You need a trained medical professional for any of the issues that could arise from a bad trip. And that's the main reasons we're opposing this.
Mr. Cohan is also concerned about the provision to allow home growth of these substances and the potential for the creation of a black market. He's also concerned that home growth may lead to endangering others who may become exposed.
The other side clearly knows that these are not materials that should be anywhere near children and pets, because part of the ballot question talks about this being behind a locked door. Well, anyone that's ever broken into their parents' liquor cabinet as a teenager understands that a door is very easy to get past. If you talk to veterinarians, if you talk to pediatricians, if you talk to home insurers, they're all worried that this would pass, the impacts it would have. The number of animals accidentally ingesting narcotics and other drugs has skyrocketed in recent years. The same thing for children. And we've spoken to home insurers that are saying, this is either going to drastically change the rates here in Massachusetts, or people are going to have to sign specific documentation guaranteeing that they are not growing in their home. Otherwise, their entire insurance plan could be nullified.
Mr. Graham says the decriminalization of these substances already exists locally, although unofficially.
Cambridge and Somerville since 2021, right next to Boston, with over 100,000 people combined, almost 200,000 people, they stopped prosecuting people for growing without quantity limits in their homes all of these substances. So, can the opposition say there's been a bunch of problems in Cambridge and Somerville? No, they can't. Since that time, Salem, Medford, Northampton, East Hampton, Provincetown, they've also all out, and Amherst have all allowed growing and personal use of these substances. Law enforcement's no longer prosecuting people for that. We haven't seen an issue. So it hasn't been an issue here. It hasn't been an issue in Colorado. This is about letting law enforcement focus on serious crime, not wasting resources, not wasting time, prosecuting people for non-commercial personal use of these substances. Again, buying and selling remains illegal. Drug dealers will remain criminalized under this measure. Selling to anybody, especially somebody under 21, will remain illegal under this measure.
Other concerns for those looking to defeat the measure are the impacts taking these substances may have on impaired driving and the cost of purchasing them.
They're charging between $750 and $3,500 per visit. That's an astronomical sum. And when I see the Yes side with their advertisements talking about the hope that these types of drugs can provide folks with PTSD, brave men and women that served in the military, to people that are dealing with real severe medical issues. How many people in the state of Massachusetts can afford $750 to $3,500 per visit? They're providing false hope to the very people that need it the most. And if we were going to do this the right way, we would have written it so that it could be overseen by medical professionals in order to ensure that they are receiving the best care.
Mr. Graham says the use of these psychedelics is not addictive, with studies showing no increased instances of impaired driving.
In Colorado, impaired driving-related fatalities fell by 23.8% after this measure passed. I don't think they're causally related, but people can be assured that nowhere in the world, in reality, has something like this led to an increase in accidents or a noticeable increase in impaired driving. These substances are all very different from cannabis. They are all not addictive. This is shown not just from the clinical data, but also from real-world experience in the Netherlands, for example, where psilocybin is very easily available. A 2020 study estimated that less than 1% of adults use psilocybin each year. These substances are typically used sometimes even just once or twice in a lifetime. They're not addictive. People don't use them every day. And people don't typically drive under these substances at high doses.
You can watch our full interviews on the pros and cons of Question 4 by visiting our special Election 2024 website. We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Funeral Home Receptionist, Cherry Place Funeral Home of Waring, located at 178 Winter Street, seeks a part-time funeral home receptionist, responsible for receiving client families and visitors at the front desk by greeting, welcoming, directing, and announcing. Job number 215-20466. Operations Supervisor, Republic Services, located at 1080 Airport Road, is seeking a full-time operations supervisor, responsible for supervising the collections activities in one or more lines of business, commercial, residential, and industrial. Job number 215-20359. Plasma Processor, Biomat USA, located at 370 Rhode Island Avenue, is looking for a full-time plasma processor, responsible for collecting and processing donor samples for testing. Job number 215-19425. Automotive Technician, Firestone Complete Auto Care, located at 748 Pleasant Street, is looking for a full-time automotive technician. For more information, call 508-916-2057. Old Navy, located at South Coast Marketplace, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Early Morning Retail Sales Associate, job number 215-19760. Seasonal Retail Sales Associate, job number 215-19841. For more information about these or other positions, visit MassHire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the MassHire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. The 5th edition of the Fabric Arts Festival will take place from October 10th through October 13th in Fall River and Providence. The celebration features food, music, and fine arts events that promote contemporary Portuguese culture. Michael Benavides, owners of Portugalia Marketplace and co-founder of Fabric, says the diverse schedule of events will cater to many.
Thursday, we open up the program at the PAL, the Police Athletic League, with a dinner, a dinner experience that also has music. So a musical performance with an experiential dinner. We have 4 of the top Azorian artists, singer-songwriters from the Azores, Cristóvão, João Felix, Sara Cruz, and Romeu Barros, coming together for the first time. These are artists who perform on their own, but have come together as a commission for Fabric. We've requested that they come together for this one evening. And on Friday, we have an opening, an art opening at the Gather Space, Ignition Space over on Troy Street. That'll be the first program of the evening on Friday. And then from there, folks will be encouraged to go to the PAL once again for a performance by a big pop artist from Portugal, Pedro Mafama. Pedro is this artist who's become really popular in Portugal. He's got a lot of different influences in his music, a lot of traditional music in his pop music, but he also uses a fair amount of auto-tune. So he's very much this contemporary artist in Portugal that's making a lot of noise, and we're thrilled to have him. Saturday's program will start in East Providence. We have Odkin, which is a gallery, and that'll be an artist talk with various institutions in the area. And then in the evening, we'll have an opening at a gallery on Broadway in Providence called World's Fair Gallery. And then that show's followed up by a performance by this very eccentric artist from Portugal. Odette is her name. She's a performance artist, music, wardrobe, really, out there, avant-garde artist. She's going to be performing at the AS220 in Providence over on Empire Street.
Fees are charged for many events, but Mr. Benavides says some are free while others are discounted. More information can be found on the Fabric Arts Festival website. Since Fabric started in 2019, the goal has been to introduce Fall River residents and visitors with unique content that also spotlights Fall River's culture and arts scene.
When people experience a Fabric event in Fall River, their minds are blown. And they walk away with a very different impression of the city. It's a city that offers cool things, and Fabric is very much offering this. And Fall River's got this sort of cool, hip factor when it comes to these programs. People look at these programs and say, "Whoa, these are really interesting and unique programs." Fabric, for one, I think is very unique. The formula of Fabric is very interesting and unique. It's a Portuguese festival. It's a contemporary art festival. It brings in a fair amount of artists from abroad who come into the region and intervene in the region, in some way, whether it's through a mural, whether it's through, a showing or a performance. So I think that's really unique.
We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News after this.
Community Autism Resources is excited to announce that we're hosting our first golf tournament, Par for Car, this October. Save the date and join us October 18th at the Old Scotland Links Golf Course, which is located at 695 Pine Street in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Located in Taunton, Community Autism Resources is the local autism support center in the South Coast, Southeastern, and Cape and Island regions of Massachusetts. All of the proceeds raised from this tournament will go directly to support autistic individuals and their families in our service region. We are looking for sponsors and golfers, and we have various sponsorship levels available. We'd love your support. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Lindsay Stonkus at LSTONKUS at community-autism-resources.com. giving.com. To donate or buy tickets, please visit givebutter.com/par4car, all one word, PARFORCAR. And to learn more about community autism resources and this event, please visit our website at community-autism-resources.com. Community Autism Resources receives funding from the Department of Developmental Services, known as the DDS, but we rely on donations and sponsorships to ensure that our supports and services are provided at no cost to the families that live right here in your community. Don't miss the Par 4 Car this October, October 18th, at the Old Scotland Links Golf Course at 695 Pine Street in Bridgewater, Mass.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Ricky. Ricky is a 5-year-old domestic short-haired male. He's very sweet. He's pretty much a big lap cat. He's very calm. He does like his playtime, but for the most part he's very calm, relaxed, and he'll be in your lap and curled up and snoozing. He is a lap cat. He would do well in any home, but I think he'd be good with kids. He would be good with older folks. He's just an all-around nice boy. So if you'd like to meet Ricky, feel free to give us a call to make an appointment at 508-677-9154.
Today with us we have Brielle. She is roughly about 5 years old. She's a cane corso. She is just about 100 pounds. Now, even though she's 5, she still has a very playful side to her. She loves to get the zoomies, she loves to run. So she would do good in like an inactive home. She does get along with other dogs. We don't have a background history with cats or children with her, so we're going to say no kids or children. For her, you would need to ideally have experience with large breeds and also own your own home. She is very playful, she gets very excitable, but when it is time to relax, she's one too, as long as your couch is big enough, she'll curl up on the couch with you. She's very happy-go-lucky, has a lot of love to give. If you want to come down and meet Brielle, you can call Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Brielle would love to meet you. That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for local news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.